Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch. Normally when I hear the words limited edition or special edition, particularly in conjunction with collaboration, I find it a bit of a turn-off. On one hand, there's usually a cash grab by brands hoping to sell you the same product, but for more money just because they've slapped a second logo on the dial. And on the other hand, there are flippers and scalpers who have no interest in the product, hoping to make a quick buck from those who do, but who are either too slow with their credit cards or who don't have insider contact. And just how special can a special edition be if you release one every fortnight? I mean, how many special edition Seikos have you seen over the last couple of years? However, on this rare occasion, I parked my cynicism to one side, and I'm glad I did, because these two Seiko 5s that I'm going to show you today are without doubt some of the best Seiko 5s that I have ever seen. Are they practical, everyday timepieces? Perhaps not. Are they fantastic value? Perhaps not. You are still paying a premium for these, but when you take a look at them, you might decide that it's worth it. They're a pair of Seiko 5 limited editions that were released in 2021 in conjunction with a Japanese skateboard manufacturer called Everson. Now, I freely admit my experience on a skateboard is limited to Tony Hawk's PlayStation games, so the tie-in doesn't resonate with me perhaps as profoundly as it would with somebody who was a skater. But I can still appreciate the watches for the many, many cool little details found in each one. Now, I didn't just buy these, they are kindly on loan to the channel from Sydney subscriber Peter. I am like a kid in a sweetie shop with his collection at the moment, having looked at his Bulova Lunar Pilot and his Tudor 1926 over the last couple of weeks. Thank you again, Peter. All right, that's quite the intro, isn't it? Let's flip the camera and have a look at them. Okay, despite having two watches to show today, let's try and make this a relative quickie. I will talk about price and availability later in the video. You can still buy these, I'll leave links in the description, but they're not the same price as a regular Seiko 5. Maybe the fact that they are now a couple of years old mean that they have gone past any peak price or flipping frenzy that may have occurred shortly after their release. You certainly get a better box than you do with a regular Seiko 5. Not quite as grand as it's pretending to be though, those aren't actually reinforced metal corners, but they do a reasonable job of looking like them. Now, there were actually 3 different Everson limited editions. Peter bought the best 2, I think. This red and white one looks a little bit confronting at first, but just you wait till I tell you what it is inspired by. It's guaranteed to make you chuckle once the penny drops. It is the SRPF 95K1 for your reference, by the way. I must admit though, when Peter first showed me these, it was the black and gold one that blew me away. Black and gold really is a killer combination and one that's popular with Seiko modders. In fact, both of these watches look a bit like modded Seiko 5s, except they come out of the factory and they feature parts you simply cannot buy off the shelf. The black one for your reference is the SRPF 94K1. So what do you think then? Anything here tickle your fancy, or do you think I'm mad claiming these are some of the best Seiko 5s I've ever seen? Do you have a preference between them? Are you naturally inclined towards the black and gold like I am? Or what about the unusual looking maroon and white number on the right? What on earth is going on with those weird striations on the dial and the bezel? Well, before I give you their respective stories, let's cover the basics. They're still 5KXs after all, so most of this should be pretty familiar to you. 42.5mm in diameter with 22mm lug width, sub 46 lug to lug though, which is great. Thickness of 13.7. Weight is the same for both, bang on 100 grams. So not small watches, but pretty wearable for most wrists. They have 100 meters of water resistance from a push-pull crown, a 4R36 in-house day-date movement, and Hardlex mineral crystal covering their dials. Let's check out the red and white one first. What is this all about? Well, Everson and Seiko are both Japanese brands, and they have decided to effectively recreate horological sashimi. The deep red dial is meant to look like raw tuna fish. Those stripes do a pretty good job of simulating the muscle structure of a fish, don't they? Note how the stripes are all gently curved and continue on the bezel, meaning you have to align it correctly to get them to flow from one side of the watch to the other. And the sushi references don't end there either. The white strap is covered in depictions of individual grains of sushi rice. You can see that when I show you a shot of the strap specifically. The case back is translucent, you can just see the movement spinning underneath it, and it is of course wasabi green. One additional touch is the high polished crown has a little black cabochon on it which is meant to represent soy sauce. So you've got raw tuna fish, white rice, wasabi paste and soy sauce all on your wrist. They've even done a job on the loom, nothing on the dial or the bezel, but the hour and minute hand are coloured in raw tuna red, and the lollipop counterbalance of the second hand is wasabi green. Like I said, not particularly practical, but a lot of fun I think. The black and gold one by comparison is almost sensible, or at least it doesn't contain a handful of references to your lunch anyway. It does however feature a matte black finish case, crown, bezel and caseback, a stealthy black bezel insert with kanji characters, and one of the nicest dials this side of a Seiko pressage. Now, golden Seikos are not new. I have looked at arguably the king of them all, the golden turtle, the Gertle, several years ago, but I haven't seen one with a matte gold finish case before, and it's really nice. Drilled end links with both of these today, by the way, not that you'll be swapping away from the original straps because they look really good and obviously are custom matched to the watch. The strap on this one is the same super soft rubber, but this time with a complex paisley pattern. You can see though, it will attract dust and fluff. It has done so a little bit already. And the bezel insert looks fantastic. It looks ceramic actually, although I could be wrong, and it's etched with various Japanese characters. I assume they say 10, 20, 30 and 40, but again, I could be wrong because my Japanese is non-existent. I don't care anyway, and I doubt most of the people who are buying this watch are any different. The dial is really lovely with a radial ripple that's actually quite subtle, just catching the light occasionally and making its presence felt. Perhaps you didn't see it from the overhead shots, but you should definitely be able to see it now from the more dynamic images here or from some of the super close-ups. You should also be able to see the lovely patterning on the chapter ring that happens to work as a minute track of sorts, but obviously not as effective as a regular minute track with regular minute markings. The caseback on this one continues the gold theme with the Everson logo and samurai helmet featuring again in the centre. Again, this one comes and goes depending on the angle you view it from, and there's a little bit more Japanese text on the gold crown. Now there is some loom here, but it is effectively worthless because they've chosen to do that stealthy black thing during the day. Compromises have been made. As discussed, these aren't nearly as practical as a regular 5KX. On wrist, this one is just as comfortable as the sushi version. It's a lovely strap, but if you wear it out, good luck getting a replacement because this is a limited edition of only 1,500 pieces. Well, I guess that started the moans and niggles section, didn't it? Good luck getting spare parts for these if the crown falls off or you need a new bezel insert. The black one still kind of works as a dive style watch with some markings on the chapter ring and bezel. The sushi version abandons all of that in the name of aesthetics. And then there's the price. I don't actually know what the original price was at launch if you bought one direct from Seiko in 2021, but it's certainly more expensive than a regular 5. They only made 700 sushi colour variants, as such they sell for a bit more than the black and gold. You're looking at around 500 for one on eBay therefore. Black and gold are more plentiful with 1,500 originally available, as such they're a bit cheaper. Best price I could find was $350 from Sakura. That is obviously a lot more than you'd pay for a regular 5KX on a rubber strap. Only you can decide whether they're worth the money. For me personally, I don't own a regular 5KX, but I would definitely consider picking up one of these despite the disparity. For once then, I'm happy I temporarily parked my cynicism and gave these limited edition Seikos a go. It's clear both companies put a lot more into these than just a logo slap and a price hike. So there you have it. If you still want one of these, you can still buy one of these, but they will cost you about 400 to 450 bucks each. Only you can decide therefore whether they're worth the money. But I think we can all agree these are anything but run-of-the-mill Seiko 5s and definitely more than just a cynical cash grab by both companies. A lot of effort has gone into each watch. On the other hand, if you would like to see collaborations that are a little more cynical, click here or click here. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you again in a future video, I hope.